Hello everyone, welcome to New Music Paths. This is the third and last video about Minha Terra, which is an orchestral piece that I wrote based on 3 Brazilian dialects from the state of Pernambuco, Rio de Janeiro and Rio Grande do Sul. So this video is about the third movement called Pernambuco. If you haven't watched the first or the second one, I highly recommend you clicking on the link above and check them out. Okay, let's get started. The voice you will hear on the third movement is from Fabia da Silva, a good friend of mine that lives in Calgary. And when I was recording her voice, she was actually reading a poem that she wrote about Pernambuco. I also recorded some expressions. So let's take a quick look at the interview that I did with Fabia. So I'm here with her, so we're gonna chat. Hi, Fabia.
Hi, Denis.
But we're gonna chat actually in Portuguese, so we can dive into her dialect, from her region. Fábia, obrigado por estar aqui hoje.
De nada, é prazer ter você aqui em casa.
E conta um pouquinho da sua história, pra gente saber mais. Você é de Pernambuco, como a gente já sabe.
Eu sou muito orgulhosa, assim, de vir de Pernambuco, de Recife. Eu tenho orgulho do meu sotaque. Um lugar de uma cultura muito grande, né? Então a gente tem cultura, assim, em relação à dança, por exemplo, né? A gente tem uma dança característica, que é o frevo, né? Que é o maracatu, né? E aí tem também a cultura que aí é mais nordestina, pelo fato de ser no litoral, né? Então muitas pessoas da África, né, que vieram, né, como escravos. Então a gente tem muita cultura da África também, como Salvador tem. A gente poderia dizer que não só no Nordeste, mas cada região do Nordeste a gente tem um próprio dicionário, né? O próprio dialeto. São muitas palavras, muitas coisas, que inclusive entre nordestinos a gente não se entende em algumas palavras se a gente for conversar. É bem interessante.
E é interessante a orquestra, né? Essa parte eu acho muito legal. Porque fala, eita bexiga, né? Eu pensei, isso né? Tô arretada, tô... E daí a orquestra tá um ataque bem forte, assim, cheio de, tipo, tô arretada.
Eita bexiga, eita bexiga.
A orquestra, né? Ela funciona em muitos momentos como uma... meio que traduzindo a emoção por detrás do dialeto, né? Então,
foi exatamente
fala,
o que eu percebi.
Eu escutava muitas vezes a gravação e eu achava essas notas no piano, né? E tocava junto com a sua voz. E daí, a partir daí eu escrevia na partitura, né? O ritmo e tudo mais. E daí onde eu começava, a partir daquele material, eu começava a brincar com aquilo. Tinha... por exemplo, o clarinete, né, era muito próximo da região em que você falava, que você fala, né, mas na peça particularmente, né, que a gente gravou. E então às vezes eu usava o clarinete, né, e daí colocava uma flauta, que daí é bem mais alto da onde você falava, né, daí um instrumento mais grave. E tudo isso, quando toca junto com a sua voz, ele ressaltava uma outra perspectiva do que você falou. De cor, eu gosto de pensar muito em cor quando eu falo em orquestração, né? Quando você escolhe instrumentos, né? É como se fossem cores diferentes. Então é como se estivesse colorindo a sua voz ou mostrando as diferentes cores que a sua voz tem. Então é explorando a beleza mesmo da voz e da música que está dentro, né? The movement starts with a series of expressions from Pernambuco, like eita bexiga, which is used when you're startled by something, or tô retado, vice, which is used when you're angry. So I wanted to evoke this strong and fun personality of the people from Pernambuco. So what I had in mind was this kind of gesture like this, when you're talking like that, right? Eita bexiga, or tô retado, vice. So this eita bexiga, tô arretado, vice? So this kind of sort of a short and loud attack. Another tool to bring a touch of the local culture is the use of a scale or a group of notes. It's called the Mixolydian Augmented Fourth. Don't be scared about the name, I know, but let me show what I mean. This is the scale, a group of notes. That's the Mixolydian augmented fourth, okay? And that's how usually they use this. There's in a baião or frevo or maracatu. So it has a color to it. It has a very specific character. And it's very common to do arpeggios like this. So I wanted to use these characteristics in the orchestra. So let me show you an excerpt of the movement where I use exactly this on the flutes. So the flutes will do this sort of arpeggio with a little twist and added notes. But the bass is this Mixolydian augmented fourth. Another cultural element that I used was rhythmic patterns from traditional dances. So in a similar way to how I used samba in the second movement, I used frevo and maracatu on this movement. So frevo has a very prominent snare line that goes something like this. With the kick or the bass drum on the second beat. So if you add other instruments, so let me show an excerpt where I actually used elements from frevo, especially the snare. So Fabia in this part, she'll actually say frevo, shot, chachado, which are dances from Pernambuco. And then the snare drum starts to do the pattern.
Frevo, shot e chachado. Frevo, shot e chachado. Frevo, shot e chachado. Violeiro, cantoria, o martelo agalopado, o cordel e a poesia. Contador de viola, fazendo versos na hora, para nos trazer alegria.
Let me show you a section that I had a lot of fun playing with orchestration and speech melody. So in this part, Fabia is saying a long phrase, and while she's speaking, I constantly change the combination of instruments that are playing underneath her voice. So every time I change the combination, that gives us a new perspective of her voice. It's like using different colors. So let me play this section for you.
A nossa música é linda. Temos coco e embolada, aboio e banda de pife, axé, repente, baiano, o forró do Gonzagão.
Now let's get a little more technical, but don't worry, if you're not a musician, you'll be fine. So a lot of people think that when we're composing, we keep adding new ideas to our pieces until it's done. And that's not necessarily true. In fact, a very important skill that a composer must have is the ability of exploring the potential of a small idea and sometimes generating a larger section out of that small idea. Let me show an example in this piece. So even if you don't know how to read a music score, you can follow the contour of the graphic notation. So if the notes are going up, it gets higher pitch, and if the notes are going down, then it's a lower pitch. Okay, so if you look here, that is showing what Fabia is saying. So she's saying, tô arretado, vice? And that has 6 notes. Tô arretado, vice? So I took the last 4 notes, this is small idea, ta-ta-tita, which I'm gonna call a motive. And then I start using that on the flute, and actually in the woodwind instruments in general. So in this section you can see that I take that idea and I shift the pitch. So it's the same idea higher and the same idea a little bit higher, which is called a transposition. And then I do an inversion, which is a mirrored version of that idea. Now it's going down, ta-ta-tito. And same thing is happening down there with the bassoon. It's an inversion. And then I take these two measures, or this whole idea that was built, and then I play that backwards, what is called a retrograde. So everything in this section was derived from that small tadovisi, tararira. And that's how important it is to know how to explore the potential of small ideas.
Tô arretado, vice.
I hope you guys enjoyed the journey and had some fun. Please leave comments below if you have questions, comments, if you're working with speech melody yourself and composing cool things, just let me know. I'd love to chat with you. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like, share with your friends, and I'll see you on the new music paths.